When I was in the 6th grade, she wasn't a friend at the time. She was a girl in my class. Her name was Tanya. Tanya, if you're watching, hey girl. I doubt it. But anyway, Tanya brought Little Women, the book, the original book, to school. And I guess there was a little sexy scene. I don't remember. It was probably just kissing or something. I don't know, maybe some boob action. I don't know. Anyway, she was going around and showing the girls that one scene. And of course, it got back to my teacher, Mr. Murrow, a man, and he had to take us aside, and he was like, "I'm very, very glad that you young ladies are interested in the classics, but I also know that you're very curious about your bodies." And we was just like, I was just like, and shut down, not listening to what Mr. Murrow has to say about curious young girls. Every time I think of Little Women, I think of 6th grade and Mr. Murrow's class. Everybody, I'm Dawn, aka the Criticizer of Books, and one half of the Novel Universe podcast. And as I've said before in other videos, sometimes my co-podcaster and I, we read different books and we like to talk about them, and we do it on YouTube. And so that's what I'm doing today. And today I will be talking about Glare. I'm trying not to get the glare. Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon. Sometimes when you have library books, there's a glare. See? The glare. This is Nicola Yoon's newest book. It came out, as you can see, in June. That's how we do our books at the library. This is a book from my library. I'm a teen librarian. Hi! And this is Nicola Yoon's newest book. I'm just going to hold it up. I gave this book a 3.5. This is what I would like to call a highly anticipated book for Dawn, because I loved The Sun Is Also a Star. And so I was very, very excited. Very, very, very excited about this book. Broke my heart. 3.5 breaks my heart. I don't know if you guys watch some of my other booktubes here, but I have said in previous videos that I don't buy a lot of books because I only buy books that I've given a 4.5 or 5 to. So therefore I don't buy a lot of books because I'm the criticizer of books. I've earned that name. I didn't give it to myself. It was bestowed upon me by my friends because I don't like a lot of books. But I loved The Sun Is Also a Star. I did a podcast in 2019 where I listed my top 10 contemporary books of the decade, and this was number 1. And it's also signed. I met Nicola at a conference, and I usually like to get authors to write something fun in my books, like a quote, because I like quotey stuff, and Nicola Yoon is quite quotey, but it was a lot of people in that line. It was crazy time. She was late, so I didn't get a chance to. But moral of the story is, love this book, not so much. And here's why. First of all, let's talk about what the book is about. So Instructions for Dancing is about Evie. And Evie is done. She's done with love because her parents are getting a divorce. And she just thought their love was eternal. But her dad is a buster, cheated on her mom, and she's just like, love, hate that. So she gives away all of her romance books to the library, which is awesome because, you know, if you guys are donating your books, donate them to the library. I know you guys do a lot of unhauls. Give it to the library. Librarians, especially teen librarians, because we're always trying to give out teen books. Give them to your local library. Actually, she gives it to a little free library, those little libraries that sit outside people's homes. She puts all her romance books in the library, and then some weird old lady comes by and was like, hey girl, what you doing? And she's like, I'm putting my books away. And the old lady's like, you should take this book called Instructions for Dancing. And she's like, okay. So she takes it, and all of a sudden, weird things start happening. where every time she sees a couple kiss for the first time, that she sees them, not their first kiss, but when she sees them kiss for the first time, she can see how they met midway through their relationship and how their relationship ends, and it's usually pretty bad. So not only are her parents divorcing, she's also seeing horrible examples of love stories. It's not helping her case. So she's like, I need to get rid of this. I don't want this power. Someone take it away. And so she decides to go to the dance school that in the instruction for dancing book, it says, if found, please return to this dance school. So she does. And while she's there, she meets hot guy Xavier, and he's just there chilling. Her friend Martin's like, no, you should probably go take lessons because the curse is still upon you. Go take lessons. So she goes to take lessons, and they want to sign her and X up for a dance competition. And so through dance, she meets X, and they fall in love. Per usual, I like to break up my reviews into what I disliked about the book, what I liked about the book, and it will all be spoiler free. The spoiler edition will be in a separate video, and you can go and watch that after you've read the book. So my first dislike is this book is relatively short, but I would say about midway through, it started to drag a little bit. I'm not quite sure why, because stuff was happening, but I think the stuff I was thinking was going to happen wasn't, or just wasn't as good as I know Nicola Yoon could write, and I'll explain as I go through my dislikes, but it started to feel really long, and just, I don't know, something was wrong with the pacing. Something was wrong with the pacing here, and it felt a little long to me. The second thing was Evie has 3 friends, and one of them is Martin, and his only purpose was to listen to Stevie's problems. Like he was there just for her to dump on her problems, and he'd be like, oh, go join the school for dance. Oh, maybe this is your problem. Like, and then he was like in love with her sister. Like, he was kind of pointless to the story. And then she had 2 other friends, and don't know what they were there for, kind of booty. And then I guess it's a romance, and it's supposed to be about her and Xavier, and I get that, but it was like, why have friends? Why have friends if they're not going to contribute to the plot? One of my biggest pet peeves in books, any book, I don't care, adult, YA, why have other characters in the book if they're not going to contribute to the plot? I hate that, and I'm automatically going to lower it if they're pointless. Then don't have them. It's just a waste of my time. The next thing I didn't like was, well, I don't know if I would say I didn't like it. I kind of liked it. I kind of didn't like it. But this book is called Instructions for Dancing, but there's barely any dancing in the book. And I say because it's kind of a like that there wasn't any dancing, because it's hard to write dance on a page. Like, dance is a visual thing, and I don't want it to be described to me, even though I know what the foxtrot looks like, and I know what the samba looks like. I know what these dances look like, but I don't want it to be described. I don't want dance to be described to me, because it just loses the impact of it. So in that respect, I'm glad there wasn't a lot of dance in the book, but at the same time, it's got the word dancing it's in the title. It's in the title. So usually when an author, in my opinion, when an author puts a word in the title, but it doesn't really appear in the book, usually means it's a metaphor for something. But I don't know if this is I don't know if dancing is a metaphor for love. Maybe it is. A good example is A Rage of Dragons by Evan Martin. I think it's called Rage of Dragons. And there are barely any dragons in that book. And people are like, where are all the dragons? And I'm like, it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor. The main character is the dragon, and he's rage. He's upset. Metaphor. So sometimes authors do that on purpose because they want it to be a metaphor. I don't think that's the case here. Maybe it is. Anyway, it bothered me enough for me to mention it. One thing I was really excited for in this book was the mother-daughter relationship, which we don't see a lot of in YA. And that's unfortunate because most teen girls don't like their moms when they're a teenager. It's like you give them all kind of attitude, get out of my business. Like, I'm not a kid anymore. Like, you give them like the silent treatment. Like, it's a whole thing with your mom. And because it's a big thing that happens when you're a teenage girl, you would think that it would appear in fiction more often, but it doesn't. So when I see it in YA, I get excited because I'm like, yes, they're going to tackle the mother-daughter issue. And I thought this was going to happen because Evie is upset that, you know, her parents have gotten a divorce, and she's dealing with it in her own way. But her mom and her sister have just ignored it. And her mom doesn't want to talk about it. So every time Evie's like, wants to talk about it, her mom was like, shut it. She shuts her down. So you know eventually that they're going to have a talk about it because, duh, that's how books go. And they do, but it was a little anticlimactic and it wasn't very impactful. It was just kind of like, I'm not going to say it because it's a spoiler, but it could have been so much better. It could have been so much better to have this wonderful discussion about love, which Evie is struggling with her mommy. And her mommy could have opened up. Evie is 18. She's not a child. But that didn't happen. And I was really bummed because I was waiting for that moment. And actually, Evie's sister, who's like a year younger than her, also kind of dealt with it in a way with the mom, as the mom did. Just move on. Like the sister was like, yay, Dad, let's go have dinner. And Evie's like, I don't want to have dinner with you. Like the sister was just like, she got over it really quickly about the divorce. And I kept waiting for Evie and her sister to have a discussion about it. Nope. That didn't happen. So it's like, missed opportunity. Missed opportunity. Hate that. Hate that. The last thing I didn't like about this book was the ending. And I'm not going to say because it's a spoiler, I'm not going to say. But I feel like Nicola has taken a playbook from a playbook? Nicola has taken a page from her husband's playbook. I personally didn't like Frankly in Love. Didn't like how it ended. And I didn't like how this ended either. I hated that ending. And this book was a 3.75. I know that ain't much better. But did that ending happen? And I was like, I understand the point of the ending. It was relevant to the story and the theme. Still didn't like it. Those are all my dislikes. That was a lot. Okay, now for my likes. Nicola does not write a formulaic book, which I appreciate. She doesn't do the whole, I'm not going to reveal this important information to prolong the story. I hate that. I hate it when there's miscommunication between characters and all they have to do is say one thing, but then the story is going to go in a different direction. And a lot of YA authors will not have that conversation just to prolong the drama, but she doesn't do that here. So they have discussions, honest discussions, pretty early on in the book, which I liked, because that way it's not predictable. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know, well, that's definition of formulaic. It's not. So I don't need to explain. You guys know what formulaic means. Nicola is the quote queen. Her books are very quotey and beautiful. That's why I was bummed I didn't get a quote in my other book. And this book is no exception. It starts off with a couple of pretty good quotes and moments, so that's great. So Nicola is a romance reader, which I should have known because all of her books are romances. And she doesn't troll romance readers, but you can tell she is a lover of romance because she talks about her favorite tropes and her favorite monsters. And I thought that was really cute. There was some little small chapters in here that kind of talk about tropes and romance readers. And I'm not a romance reader, but I understood all the tropes. I like a romance within fantasy or science fiction or something. I don't usually read straight romance, but I did recognize the tropes and all that stuff, so I thought that was really cute. The overall theme of this book was done really well. It's basically live in the moment, just live your life, love, be free, be happy. And I thought that the theme was done really well throughout the book. And finally, I liked Evie somewhat because she wasn't, sometimes when you have romances, the main and and the guy is like super hot, which X is like just like heart stopping hot. Like even the dance instructor was like calling him hot, which is creepy. But anyway, usually when you have a really hot guy and, you know, a girl who doesn't consider herself to be hot, then she's like really awkward and really insecure. But Evie wasn't like that. She wasn't awkward. She wasn't like, oh my god, I'm ugly. Oh my god, I'm wearing glasses, my ponytail. No. She was just like, whatever, you know. She wasn't weird. She wasn't, she definitely wasn't unlike other girls. There was none of that bullshit. Yay. I thought she was a pretty good character. I don't know why I'm just holding this book all over the place. Sorry. So overall, this book was pretty good. I do recommend it. It was a sweet romance. I'm weird with ratings. I think anything under a 4 is terrible. But that's just my weird rating. Don't listen to me. Anyway, check out Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon. Until then, the universe says goodbye. Bye.